Good morning, Tony Dattino. Back from vacation a little bit earlier than planned. Had a little bit of a problem with my eye, but as I was thinking of what I wanted to do on my Friday Live with Tony, I wanted to pick up this article a second ago because it's just got so much thought in it and so rich. And it was the Writing on the Wall article in the Discover issue of June. And it's just so enlightening in terms of our memories, our cognition, our functions, our well-being and health, and how many people would have stopped to think about the differences between when we used to pick up, here's my prop here, a pencil, right? And we'd pick up a piece of paper and we'd write with our hands, thinking of looking at what we're seeing, engaging our comprehension of what it was we wanted to note down, and then start to write it. And especially as I wrote my first book, it was all on paper and pencil. And the thinking I would go as I would write a paragraph, and then the lines and the shifting. And then I started using mind maps as a way to help, and that really helped me write my first of two books that I had the pleasure. And by the time I figured that out, the second book was a lot quicker. But the differences was importance in handwriting. I did both of them by handwriting. And this article starts off in a very interesting way, and it's really kind of shocking, and then what the consequences are. The American Association of School Administrators advised that 33% of students, a third of students, struggle to achieve a basic competency in handwriting, meaning the ability to write legibly the letters of the alphabet, whether they be in upper or lowercase. Now, I even complicate it, right? The difference between uppercase and lowercase. God, we used to teach that right in the first grade. My goodness, and see the charts on the wall, the alphabet around the wall. God, I think back to my schooling days, and then we had to learn how to write the uppercase and learn how to write the lowercase. And now we have a third of our students are not able to do that in a legible way. They can't write the alphabet, and the school children aren't the only ones struggling, as fewer and fewer adults are moving away from paper to using their computers. Imagine what you have to do if you have to write a grocery list. So I've got several grandchildren, and there's an occasion where I had to get some legal documents signed by my grandchildren, like their signature. And I gave them the documents, and when I looked at the return and tried to look at their signature, I said, this is your signature? I mean, this looked like scribble. I mean, it just looked like a bunch of lines that had no letter formation to them. And these are college graduated students. And I'm like, how did you get through college not learning how to write and sign your name in a way where you can properly read the letters so we knew who it was that was signing? My God, I'd hate to think of this in the future, doing fraud investigations or signature problems with people that sign their names with like a scribble. I mean, doctors may do that. I guess that's their signature in a way. They're a doctor. However, college graduated students signing their name in scribble that you can't even detect any of the letters in it, that college educated students, it just it was my first experience in realizing, my goodness, what have we done with the advent of having people take notes on laptops or keyboards of any sort. And so as I read this article, and it talks about this, and school children are the only ones struggling, and many people no longer have a skill to do more than scrawl their name in some illegible script. And it's a skill that is creating an atrophy, which is probably a skill atrophying the brain as well. As a practical skill in the digital world, handwriting seems to be useless, so they say here. There's a term in Chinese that's a take pen, forget character. It describes how more frequent use of computers and smartphones discourage the ability to write in Chinese characters. Whoa, think about Chinese print in letters and the characters and how you print out in Chinese and what that means to Chinese people. Chinese children pick up a pen to write but experience a character amnesia when it comes to putting words. So what does it mean? What does it mean to us to live without handwriting? The skill has deteriorated gradually, and many of us don't notice our own loss until we're asked to handwrite something and find ourselves bumbling as we try to put pencil or pen to paper. We do lose something when handwriting disappears, and that's the key that most people probably have no cognitive ability or awareness of. At its core, handwriting is a communication tool, but it also yields major cognitive benefits, and you stop to say, wow, handwriting is a communication tool. Yep, we know that. That's how we write notes. How many people still write little thank you cards and put their personal notes in? And when you get one of those and you get somebody who took the time to handwrite and you look at the printing or the writing and the script that they write in it, doesn't it give you a feeling like, wow, this is pretty special, that that person took the time to put in a handwritten note and send that back. It's like, and I still see people who have sent me notes that their handwriting looks like it's an art piece. It looks absolutely magnificent and say, my goodness, where did that skill go? When I think of my grandchildren and how they write something out and scribble, and it's like, what does this even say? But at its skill, there are measurable cognitive benefits. It's an important recruitment in letter processing that the brain regions known to underlie successful reading. You say, wow, so what does that mean? Well, as you're reading something, if you have to take notes and you're in a science class, biology, you're in a legal class, and you're trying to read paragraphs of information, by the act of having to handwrite, if we want to get sophisticated, we can get a pen. In the act of reading something and then needing to take key notes to it, there's a transition that takes place in the brain that takes the difference between whether I'm going to keystroke or whether I'm going to handwrite, that takes place in the integration of that in the brain that enhances comprehension. So if you're sitting in a class or you're sitting in a room or you're sitting listening to and you're just keystroking, your ability to take that information and integrate it into your brain is inhibited. However, if you were taking it with a pen or a pencil and you were writing it on paper, it's amazing what the difference in comprehension is that takes place in your brain and the integration of your neurons and your dendritic spines and your biology of thought, which then gives you the basis of memory, comprehension of meaning, that allows you then to utilize it for creativity. So just stop and think about that. The fundamentals of writing lead you to a better integration of thought, better storage in terms of wanting to have it at some future point in time, and then it's recall when you want to create something from it, or you need to utilize it in some domain or some place in your life. I don't think people understand the comprehension of what I've just said, because they'd stop keyboarding every time you talk to them, or they'd start trying to take their phones and just go right on their phone documents and the skills with their fingers. I watched somebody the other day taking notes, and I said, wait a minute, did you comprehend what I was trying to tell you? So let me stop back and say, what did you get? And they look back at their instrument and couldn't spontaneously grab at that. And I'm saying, whoa, I need people that service my care, my needs, whatever they may be, whatever they're trying to do to help me or sell me something. I need them to comprehend what my needs are, my utilizations are, what its impacts are, so that I know that they're with me, so we create the best outcomes. And this article just goes on to basically say My God, there are lots and lots of implications to taking notes on a keyboard versus taking notes with pen and paper. And all I'd hope people would do is stop back and think of their lives and think of things that impact them that they really need to integrate. If they're in a learning mode, they're in a talking mode, there's a conversation of a service they're trying to get accomplished, and just see what's going on and how that's going on and what the difference is in getting the end results that we want. Back to vacation, back over at the Memory Institute on Monday next week, and back to the real world of helping people make a difference in their lives. Have a great weekend. Summer's here, or at least it's getting here. We're into May now. Though I see lots of places are having droughts, like here in Central Florida. And hopefully we get some rain over this coming weekend and we start to fill up our ponds. See you back here on Monday.